We got some life Jennings shit going on around here. They came around me and threw me in there with the rest of them. Motherfucker was funky as hell. But hey, anyway, grand rising, all praise be to the Most High, living one, don't serve nothing dead. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem, Barakadash. I say, brothers and sisters, keep doing the work on the highways and byways, if you allow. Because, hey, they set snares and trap for other people. Hey, I'm a person. There's a lot of people around. If I'm walking around and traveling around in my automobile, Chuck Berry, you know what I mean? Might be a problem to someone and they see the skin that I'm in. Just the old Israelite man trying to get by the best I can in a society that looks like it's crumbling. I wonder why. Because of debts. And then you don't pay your debts. And then you still try to come around take and, you know what I mean? I mean, if you've ever been in that position, as I have testimony. Say SWAT team running your house, right? Is it 2012? You're running your house because of drugs, supposedly, but the only drugs you find is a half a joint. And, go on and power my mama. My mama say, that's my joint, you know what I mean? And I mean, you go into the clink, you got half a joint in your house. So, yeah, mom go thorn and cuffs, nephew, my sister, my mate at the time, she got, I don't know, she had the baby. But yeah, I definitely was in cuffs. My sister boyfriend, everybody in cuffs, you know what I mean? I don't know why, but anyway, no drugs was found. I stayed locked up for 3 weeks, never charged with nothing. But my house was condemned, right? That's what the cold people say they're gonna condemn it for, but then they say they condemned it because some wires was hanging in the basement. I don't know no basement that don't got something hanging from the ceiling. And whatever I got hanging, I can have it hanging. It's my house that I am buying, right? Do what I want with it. I'm paying the taxes and I'm paying for it. Though I'll never own it if I stop paying the taxes. We know. But anyway, that was a long time ago. This 2026. I tried to say water under the bridge, just leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean? Type of thing. Because when you file lawsuits, you don't get paid by the same system that persecute you and prosecute you based on what they say you're doing. You're dealing in drugs. Who isn't? In some way, I might be buying some ganja, some herb for the pain that I have or whatever, medicinal purposes only, medical reason, glaucoma or whatever other ailment you may have, that's on a person. But anyway, you're no thief, you're no doing none of this stuff. But your stuff is taken repeatedly. Your property is taken. And another thing, when you file a lawsuit from prison, even another testimony, they filed my lawsuit in prison, it was like, okay, yeah, at 15, I don't remember, but the county where I was born in admitted to violating 9 of my civil rights. Nine. And I get a call in prison, conference call in prison. They're about to be released soon. You see, the judge say, you can't show up in my courtroom without a lawyer, and because I know your mediation is coming up when you get released from prison. And we're setting the date for June something of 2008. I got out in 2007, so, but anyway, fine, okay. So I'm thinking, it's easy, I get a lawyer, the work is already done, they admitted to violating my rights, and it's in small claims court, couldn't sue for millions, but hey, 300,000, it ain't no, it's something. It ain't worth 5 years, but, because a judge has sentencing guidelines that he has to abide by, They aggravate my stuff on based on what? You didn't have no right. That was one thing. And then a lot of other things, led to that. And so anyway, but no pay because you have to have a license from another state to work in Indiana. And everybody caseload just seemed to be too heavy to take the case, even though the case was just set for mediation for two parties to come to the agreement. The agreement it is, this is small claims court, I can get 300,000. That's what I want. There's nothing to talk about. I don't know why I have to give this lawyer some of my money that didn't do none of the time. I supposedly did the crime, I did the time, but it was too much time based because the judge probably, his little racist or whatever, in paper making racist statements. But, it's all good. It's what it is. You shall be cast into prison. The devil shall cast you in prison. You be tried and tested for 10 days. Shit, that day has got 21 years. Yeah, no laughing matter, huh? But, anyway, ish happens. But when it continues to happen, a person acts like they're pulling you over, they didn't do some real background stuff. You ain't did nothing. You ain't did nothing because you don't know about the harassing, the collecting, and the thievery of one's property to make one suffer. We're supposed to be citizens here, right? And we're all supposed to be citizens. You know what I mean? But it's a separation between the wheat and tare, and it's definitely judgment because people take no account of your labor or the things that you have went through and you have overcame, and just let bygones be bygones because vengeance is whose? My Lord Yahweh Shah. Michael shall stand for the children. Sit at my right hand while I make your enemies your footstool. Humble. I'm not going to act erratic and say, you know what, I'm going to blow everything up, I'm going to attack the system, and no, I have no reason to, for again, vengeance is whose. I would say it with me, but I wouldn't hear you. You know what I mean? Leave it down below. Vengeance is the Lord. My Lord, Yahweh Shah Mashiach. I say, check. Excuse me, maybe need a drink. Coffee, water, not too much of anything else. Don't want to contaminate my DNA. It's mine. And if I do, it's what with sustains me for the day. It's only a day. If a person ain't fucking with you, shouldn't fuck with them. They ain't fuck with nobody else, don't fuck with them. But when it comes to drugs, like I say, get a prescription drugs. Let a kid find it in the cabinet. Keep out of the reach of children. It's drugs everywhere. I say, I don't have drugs. If I engaged in some smoke that come from the earth, from a plant, because in the Bible, even in these courtrooms, like you say, you're prosecuting people, but in there, the Father says, I put everything in the garden good for man. I say, everything good in the garden for man. But then people, for man, wonder why it's a famine. But anyway, I don't know if it was a message there, but I try to be a conquering lion from the tribe of Judah. 12,000 from each tribe. My granddaddy, yeah, he was Haitian, so it might be in the DNA. You can't kick me out of somewhere. My grandmother was full-blooded Indian, and hey, somehow they mixed and mingled together, and here you have I. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got that Levi in me. And I know from, the things that Niger Island, you say, these, ancestors traveling and getting places before other people because they're being chased out of other places. Yeah, but they're just leaving. They leave and find somewhere new, and then they find the Father take them to the land of milk and honey. And people want to turn them into dummies when people study coming here. Welcome to America. Mystery Babylon, I say. My name is Yahala Wahala Dom, servant of the Most High title, Yahweh. Shalom.